The law of karma never fails to function. No one escapes from its ripening. You are only bringing trouble on yourselves, you hungry ghosts. Confused and sinful, I feel only sorrow and pity for you. Because your sinful karma has created dense blindness and impenetrable obstruction, you cannot understand the meaning of ultimate truth. Listen, therefore, to the expedient truth. In their spotless, ancient sutras, all the Buddhas in the past repeatedly admonished with the eternal truth of karma that every sentient being is one's kinsman. This is eternal truth which never fails. Listen closely to the teaching of compassion. It is common understanding that life is some kind of error. It is a mistake, a glitch in consciousness. The very nature of life is a testimony to the fact that it is not consciously created for a specific purpose. Individuals have to somehow discover their own purpose using their consciousness, using their awareness. It is a battle against the forces of life. Without the individual will to understand life, to transcend suffering, life is a meaningless movement in error, in ignorance. Now, this is the central theme of almost all religions. The only problem is an error which is nothing but ignorance. When you refer to it as sin, it has the propensity of becoming much stronger than it is supposed to be. There is a big difference between ignorance and sin. There is a big difference between wrong and evil. Sin and evil are extremes of ignorance and error. Why is it so hard to drop the extreme of sin, extreme of evil, and look at life as a happening? If life is a happening, then ignorance can be accepted and eventually it can be transcended. Ignorance does not require a doer. There is no necessity for someone to have malicious intent, someone to be evil, someone to be cruel, to create things and experiences that hurt, to make life so painful. It can be just a happening and just a falling, just a deviation from truth. There is a path, a smooth path that extends between the world of experiences and the absolute world of the being, where everything is just perfect. Now, as long as you're on that path, as long as you are moving on that path between the world of experiences and the world of truth, there is no problem. Existence allows you to move. Existence allows you to be playful. It does not look at life as something negative. That is why there is no effort on the part of truth to try and erase this desire to move out, this desire to play, this desire to create. It sees it as an extension of its being. This is where the confusion arises. Now, why should truth become a lie? Why can't truth just be truth? Why can't consciousness be just consciousness? Why should it become unconscious? Why should individuals forget their true nature and get attached to the body and live in ignorance? Well, it's because there is no problem in forgetting the truth for a while. As long as you know it is there and you can go back to it. Now, the problem is when you move away from this path and you deviate too much from the path, you move where the path is not laid, it is not cleared. The farther you move away from this path, the more confusing things will become, because there is no straight path to come back to the truth now. You cannot see which path leads to the truth. And it is only the truth that can nourish you. It is only the truth that can give meaning to your life. So apart from that unconscious movement towards truth, which happens at the end of the day, throughout the day, you are totally away from the path. You don't know how to get back to the truth. But by design, you eventually drop all that moving and go to sleep. Now, sleep is the setting right of that path. You are again put on that path where you can move in between truth and your experiences. That's what dreaming is. While you're dreaming, there are moments when you are just a dream, far away from consciousness, aliveness, all that is sustaining you, nourishing you. And there are moments within your dream, within your sleep, when you come very close to that truth. Not only close, you dwell in that experience of aliveness. You move in between yourself and that truth seamlessly, effortlessly. But the problem is, you don't know how to do this consciously. The moment you wake up in the morning, the way you move takes you away from the path. Now, throughout the day, you're searching for that path in everything. Now, this is the error of life. This is the sin. It is not someone else's doing. Because it is not someone else's doing, someone else cannot redeem you from sin. If life is ignorance, it is an error, it is a mistake, and if there is no one consciously creating that error, then it simply has to be your own misunderstanding of things. Just like a child that is wanting to play, it does not want to stay at home, it wants to play outside. But if you don't put any restrictions in terms of how far you can go from the house, while playing, it can forget itself and move so far that it will lose all sense of where it has come from, and what if it forgets how to come back? It is lost. Now just imagine the confusion of this child, because you cannot keep on playing forever. There will come a moment when you need the nourishment of truth. You need food, you need shelter, you need the comfort of your home. But in your play, if you have deviated too far, then the rest of your play is not a play at all. It is just a torturous journey of trying to come back home. That is life. We start playing with shadows. We are creatures of light. Sometimes shadows fascinate us. In the world of light, shadow is fascinating because it moves, it changes, it comes and goes. Unlike the eternal truth, which is simply there, ignorance has that quality to entice you. And it is not very difficult to fall into the trap of chasing shadows. Just like children, we start playing with shadows and we keep playing and playing and playing. And there comes a moment when we forget altogether about the light. An individual has taken birth. Now, what does that mean? That means this individual has separated itself. This individual phenomenon is now a different entity altogether, independent of its original nature. Of course, it is still the same aliveness that you're breathing through, that you're living through. It is the same consciousness which cannot be divided. All of us, including all the creatures of existence, are sharing one central consciousness, one central aliveness, one central feeling of I, which is always the same. But this I is now submerged deep somewhere. And there are layers and layers of ignorance added on top of this. Now, every time you try to come back to yourself, which is a natural urge to get back home, you don't have to do anything about it. Wherever you are, no matter how enticing your dreaming is, something pulls you back to the present moment. Something makes you reflect on the phenomenon called you. Every time you say, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why is this happening to me? All these are ways of coming back. That inbuilt programming to get back to the root of things, to get back to your original nature, is what keeps you coming back. But when you come back, what do? Because you are so lost in ignorance, so lost in the world of play, that immediately you start playing again. You start moving away again. Because when you come back, if you can just be there without any question, without any thought, without any desire, without any thirst and hunger for the world or the experiences of the world, then you are already home. It is only a matter of staying there long enough to experience it deeply.